We're back here on Jupiter's CROCK on the Outpost Unknown YouTube channel with another episode looking at the HBO series Rome, Episode 2, How Titus Pullo Brought Down the Republic. Spoilers, as Ronan said last episode. So that's it. Have a great night, everybody. See you in a couple weeks. I'm here with Steve.
Hello again.
And Ronan.
Yes, it has absolutely been several weeks since we last recorded.
We're back at the same table. We got everyone. We got all of these random players who come rejoin the same table. We took some time to make sure we got all of our chip counts to be the same as a couple weeks ago.
We put in a lot of work. I just want you all to understand that.
So, let's get right into it. Episode 2. Steve, I mean, we talked about in the last episode how complicated the show already is on the very first episode. So I look forward to your recap and not missing a single thing that happens in episode 2.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, so Caesar is kind of getting the rundown about how many men he has left. There's a guy telling him, oh, we have this many people, this many units have died, blah, blah, blah. But then that comes later. But there's a lot of scenes of Caesar just sitting in his fucking office in this episode. It's hard to keep track of. What actually happens in the beginning is Caesar's like, hey, Mark Antony, I bribed a bunch of people to make you tribune. And Caesar has like a main like slave that I guess kind of has authority to speak his mind to Caesar, and this guy's like, Caesar, it's Mark fucking Antony. Are you sure you want to make him the tribune? And Caesar's like, yep, we're doing it. Here's a bunch of money. Go bribe people to make Mark Antony the tribune.
Well, Mark, what is Mark Antony's kind of why is everyone so concerned about him in particular becoming a tribune?
He is just this like loud, outspoken, gives no fucks dude.
Yeah. He steals. He even shows it in this episode where Caesar gives him X amount of money and he takes a little off the side for himself. He's very uncouth. Like the Tribune is supposed to be this very serious thing because it has veto power over the Senate and decisions and stuff like that. And everyone knows Mark Antony's not going to take any of that shit seriously at all.
Yeah, 100%.
Fuck boy is the term we're looking for. Fuck boy.
Speaking of which, we get a lot of scenes of Mark Antony and a contingent of his soldiers, which I believe is called like the 13th. They're going back to Rome because Mark Antony is like a new tribune. And so Vernius and Titus Pullo are part of this group. And Titus Pullo and Vernius are having a conversation. It turns out Vernius is married. He hasn't seen his wife in 8 years, and Pullo is kind of like encouraging him, like, yeah, but it's gonna be nice to see your wife. Me, I'm gonna go drink all I can drink, smoke all I can fuck, or smoke all I can smoke, and fuck all I can fuck. So Pullo like immediately just wants to go and find a brothel.
Very Gannicus.
Yes.
Every whore. I believe he says every whore.
While they're having this deep conversation about Vernius's marriage and his reservations about seeing his wife for the first time in so long, Mark Antony is off to the side, just fucking this random woman while all of his men wait for him.
By the side of a tree.
By the side of a tree. So they all make it back to Rome. They brought Octavian with them, and so Mark Antony kind of dismisses his men. He tells Pullo and Vernius to take Octavian back to Adia, and he says, "Oh, by the way, Octavian, tell your mom I'll see her later." Wink. And so they go back to Adia, and Adia is like, yeah, you saved my son's life. I don't give a shit. Get out. You're beneath me. You're like rank and file soldiers. And Octavian is like, no. Like, they saved my life. They carry Caesar's standard. Like, as of right now, we must treat them like equals. And Adia is like, fine, fuck it. I guess I'll pretend like they're equals and have a meal with them. And so everybody kind of like they mix wine and politics. And so Adia is kind of like, hey, what if Caesar tried to take over Rome? Wouldn't that be a curious thing to happen? And Pullo's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I got Caesar's back 100%. And Vernius is like, Absolutely not. No man. If
I'm loyal to the Republic.
Yeah, I'm loyal to the Republic. If Caesar tried to do that, no man of honor would follow him, and so there's this political rift between Titus Pullo and Vernius, and ultimately,
Vernius is Obi-Wan, and Pullo is Anakin.
Well, now I like them.
See how I brought Star Wars into it.
Okay, 0 out of 10. No more episodes.
Yeah, so there's this kind of like political rift between Pullo and Vernius, but ultimately, like Adius says, "Oh no, it's my fault for mixing booze and politics. Thanks for joining us for this meal." And Vernius is like, "Fine, thanks." Vernius didn't want to have this meal anyway. He wanted to go see his wife, but Octavian insisted. But now it's it's the end of the night, so Vernius is like, "I'm going to see my wife," and Pullo leaves with him, and Vernius tells Pullo, "Hey, if something happens, my house is at this address over here," and they salute each other, and Pullo's about to walk away, and Vernius looking out for his boy Pullo's now is like, "Oh, by the way, the brothels are on this street."
The clean brothels are on this side of the town. No, he tells them where the clean brothels are.
Yes, and so they're like, Vernius doesn't like Pullo, but they're looking out for each other. Like I like the relationship these two people have.
They're basically like brothers because they're all in the same legion, right? And so back in those days, it was like, hey, you got to look out for the other guy it'd be like in the military today, right? All the military people look out for each other. Same sort of thing.
They're bros. They don't necessarily like each other. Pullo likes Vernius. It's Vernius that doesn't like Pullo. But they are bros. They kind of have each other's back here. So Pullo goes off to bang some hookers. Vernius goes home, where he is a complete asshat. The first thing he sees
we find out that he is not a stand-up dude.
Yeah,
He'll quit.
Yeah, I liked Vernius less after this episode.
The hard drop in liking quality. Drop.
Vernius sees his wife for the first time in 8 years, and she is holding
her a whore.
Yeah, she's holding a baby, and he's immediately like, well, first thing she says is, "Holy shit, you're alive," and he's like, "You're holding a baby. To explain the baby, you fucking whore." And she says, "It's your daughter's baby. Your daughter. This is your grandchild. Your daughter had a baby. I'm holding your grandson." And so they all go home, and Vernius is like, "What do you mean my daughter or what do you mean my daughter has a child? She's only," and he can't think of an age, and she's like, "She's 14. It's ancient Rome. She's basically old at this point. Yes, your 14-year-old daughter has a baby." So he's like, "Oh shit, I'm a granddad now." He also has another daughter, which he doesn't even know who she is. So she must be right at 8 years old. The wife must have been pregnant with her, I guess, when Vernius went off to battle. But the daughters,
I think that daughter must have been born though, because later on she mentions both daughters would always ask about when is dad coming home.
I don't know. Yeah, he acts like he has no idea who this younger daughter is, but I don't know. Whatever. They got some weird family dynamics. But he is just an asshat to his family. Both daughters are afraid of him. He shows up and is immediately he calls his mom a whore, yells at his kids. His wife explains that we were told you were dead. The people in charge of distributing your parts of your military paycheck to your family stopped coming by. We thought you were dead because we were no longer getting paid for your service. And he kind of recognizes, "Ah, shit, I'm an asshat. I shouldn't have done all this." But he refuses to apologize, or he gives kind of he's like, "I'm sorry. Let's stop talking about this. I said I'm sorry. Therefore,
I was sorry.
I said I was sorry. Therefore, you're not allowed to be mad about this anymore." And so we see his family life. He's annoyed that there's a baby in his house, which is legitimate. He has sex with his wife, who very clearly is not into this relationship anymore. His home life is shitty.
It's been 8 years,
and it's his fault.
8 years he came home and called her a whore. All right, I'm totally on her side on this.
Well, now early on, Pullo kind of mocked him a little bit while they were waiting, and it was like, well, he mentioned something about, well, what if there's another dude, or what if, she's been with other people? Because he mentions, he's like, oh, I couldn't imagine being with just one person. Like, that's ridiculous. So I think he was already kind of on edge from Pullo, kind of saying, well, your wife might not even be your wife anymore. And then first thing he sees is her holding a baby.
Is Pullo a secret asshole in this? Like, is he going to turn out to be like the one who's like responsible for everything? Is he a secret asshole?
No, I mean, he might be.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Anyways, let's talk about Pullo. So we see Vernius in his home life, and it fucking sucks. Pullo, meanwhile, is gone to the brothels.
Living the good life.
He's banging all the prostitutes, and he goes to a bar to gamble. They're playing a dice game, and he introduces himself as like one of the 13th, and all the other Roman soldiers are like against him. It's like,
you're Pompey territory.
Yeah, this is Pompey territory. You're one of Caesar's people, and he's like, oh no, don't worry about it. We're all soldiers here. Let's gamble. And so he immediately like loses all of his money. And on like they're playing this dice game, and on like the last round, he catches the other soldier cheating. And without missing a beat, he grabs the knife and just fucking executes this other soldier, which leads which stabs him right in the throat, which leads to this this bar fight between everyone. He gets like smashed in the head. He kills a bunch of people. I think he sets fire to something. Like maybe like throws a torch on the ground to set fire to escape. He runs. He's like injured, bleeding. He runs to like Vernius's house, and Vernius, again being a bro, like brings Pullo into the house and fetches a doctor who performs.
Wife is not happy.
Wife is not happy.
She's like, I don't want this guy in here.
Yeah, I don't want him
Listen to me, woman.
bleeding in my house.
The doctor, woman, fetch the doctor. Do as I say.
So the next scene is Titus Pullo is like tied to a table. His mouth is gagged. He is restrained, and there's a doctor cutting open his head, like peeling back the flesh on his skull, drilling into his skull to like extract something that was embedded into his brain.
Well, doesn't he get hit in the back of the head with like like a bottle or something? Like
something like that.
Hits him, and I guess that's like stuck in. It went through his skull or something. The doctor.
Well, I thought what they were doing was okay. Well, he's got a concussion or something like that. What I thought. We have to relieve pressure on his skull, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna open up a little section of his skull to relieve pressure. I thought that's what was going on, because I know that as horrible as that sounds, that is a thing that was a thing that like ancient medicine could do. Like the Aztecs could do it, the Romans could do it. Yeah, it would have been awful to have experienced it, but that is a thing that is done.
Well, that may be.
Right now
but they pull something out of his skull too.
Yeah, they extract something.
It says ancient Roman doctors were capable of performing neurosurgery on depressed skull fractures. Celsus believed that this surgery should be conducted with as little bone removed as possible. Galen disagreed. He wrote that doctors should elevate the bones and the bone fragments using forceps. So this was a thing that happened. Drill into your skull and
it could have been like a chunk of his skull that got smashed into his brain. I don't know. Something gets extracted, and then like a metal plate gets put in, and like little tiny nails are used to hold the plate into place, and that's the point where Titus Pullo like finally passes out from his surgery. And so Titus Pullo,
I don't think I would have made it past skin being pulled past my skull. I don't think I would have made it past that point.
Yeah, well, for the rest of this...
Roman physicians regularly attempted a form of brain surgery called trepanation, which involved drilling a hole through a patient's skull as a way of relieving pressure to the brain and curing headaches. But the methods that were used on the young woman seem to be of evidence of a different technique. So they're finding all kinds of skeleton bodies and stuff where all the shit was done.
Anyways,
the Romans were more advanced than we thought.
Titus Pullo survived brain surgery, and so he is recovering in Vernius's house. Vernius is not pleased by this. Vernius is trying to make money selling slaves. He paid out of his own pocket. He paid the doctor to save Pullo's life, and the doctor's like, he could. So the doctor is like holding his hand out and just talking about Titus Pullo's situation, and Vernius like puts a coin in the doctor's hand, and the doctor continues to hold his hand out. So Vernius puts another coin in his hand. The doctor continues to hold his hand out, and so Titus is like just giving all of his money away to save Titus, or Vernius is giving all of his money to this doctor to save Pullo's life. Pullo eventually recovers. I'm going to wrap up like what we can of the Vernius story here, just because there's other shit I got to talk about. Pullo.
It seems like he recovers in a day.
Or I guess I won't talk about it. It's fine.
Proceed, Steve.
Pullo recovers. And Vernius is like starting to like recognize what an asshole he's being, because he goes home one day and Pullo is awake. He's wearing this derpy looking bandana on his head now, but Pullo is having a conversation with Vernius's wife, and Pullo is telling the wife, he's like, oh, he loves you so much. Like he's got a bad temper. Like I know it, you know it, but you know the whole time we were fighting together in 8 years, he never had sex with another woman. He'd always talked about how much he loved you. Like you were the one for him. Like Pullo is trying to repair their relationship, and the wife is like, I know you're lying, but thank you for the kind words. And Vernius hears this, and he finally like kind of makes an apology. He doesn't do a good job. He's like, I hate that
I have affection for you.
Yeah, I hate that you are unhappy because I have a deep affection for you. Like we will speak on this later. It's like his apologies suck, but he has recognized that he is the problem here. So we're gonna put a pin in the Vernius and Pullo story for a minute. Let's talk about Mark Antony, because what he's got going on with Pompey is like the big like driving force of this episode. So Mark Antony is the newly elected Tribune, right? That's he has veto power.
He's got to go through the process first.
Yeah, there's some lengthy process.
This bizarre ritual, like people dancing around.
He's going through this ritual, like there's animal sacrifice and chanting and fucking dancing. But
before
and
he goes in there, he's like, "This isn't going to take long, right?" And the guy's like, "Oh, it shouldn't take long." And then throughout the entire episode,
3 hours later,
they just keep cutting to Mark Antony sitting there as these like religious people like walk around him and chant and throw like stuff around.
And the look on his face is like, Jesus Christ, come on.
Yeah, wasn't there a woman? Was it in the last episode or this episode? Wasn't there a woman who was like praying under a cow, and then the cow's throat gets slit and all the blood falls?
Yeah, that was Atia.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think she may have been praying for Octavian's return. I'm not entirely sure. Like ultimately, like it went nowhere, so it wasn't super important. Yeah. It was just, here's the thing that happened.
It was a weird visual, and it stuck with me in my headache haze.
So anyways, after 37 days of ritual, Mark Antony is now a tribune in Rome. He has veto power, and that is the important thing. Like whatever motion gets like presented to the Senate, he can just say, nope, veto, not happening. And so Pompey and Cicero hatch this plot, and they're like, and Pompey's like, Cicero, I need you to help me on this, because if you don't help me with this, because Cicero originally is like, I'm not going to do this, like I can't help you with this, but Pompey says, if you don't do this, I will have no choice but to take the Roman army and be proactive and march against Caesar. You don't want that, I don't want that, so help me with my plan. His plan is he wants to have Cato motion the Senate to declare Julius Caesar's, like, I don't know, like, lordship
an enemy of the state.
Yeah, an enemy of the state. He wants to remove Caesar's political power, tell Caesar that he must, disband his army, return to Rome, and stand trial. But Pompey doesn't actually want this to happen. What he wants to do is have everyone in the Senate say, yes, we are against Caesar, to convince Caesar that he is alone and he should give up. But then he wants Mark Antony to veto the motion so that this is not an official action. Because if it's an official action, then Pompey is now like duty bound to actually like march on Caesar. So Pompey doesn't want that to happen. This is just a mind game. I don't
it's like
want
a symbolic vote.
Yeah, I don't. Pompey does not want to fight Caesar. He wants to let Caesar know that Caesar is alone. And so Pompey and Cicero and Cato hatch this plan. Everyone in the Senate is like, yeah, fuck yeah, most of the Senate, not all of them, but most of the Senate is like, all right, we're against Caesar now. And
Cicero makes that call. Because Pompey basically tells Cicero, you either get all these people to join or I'm fucking leaving and you guys deal with Caesar.
I'm going to leave to my island and you guys you're going to be defenseless.
So and there's also this other thread that's going on here where Pompey believes that Caesar's weak and that the legions, because I don't know if we've gotten to the part yet or if it is, but eventually Brutus tells him something that's like, oh, they're all pissed off that the standard got stolen and the 13th Legion is mutinous. That
was the last episode. We just didn't talk about it. That was my fault.
Oh, okay. So that's one of those things where Pompey, like Caesar is making Pompey believe that Caesar is super, super weak. And then Pompey believes with this vote, symbolic vote, if it turns out correctly, then basically Caesar's going to be fucked. He's going to see there's no support at home. His mutinous troops are going to overthrow him, and Pompey's going to have full control again.
Yeah, but things don't go as planned because Cato and Cicero and Pompey get the vote they want, where by clear numbers the motion carries, and now Caesar is an enemy of Rome. But when that happens, like the Caesar supporting faction just starts like a bar fight with the other faction.
Yeah, there's like a weird slappy fight or something like that.
There's a fight on the Senate floor. And Cicero's like, no, this is not what's supposed to happen. So Cicero, the man who supported the motion, he starts yelling at Mark Antony. It's like, veto the motion. Mark Antony, veto the motion.
And Mark Antony doesn't know the rules.
Mark Antony is lost.
He got to the Senate literally 3 minutes ago. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, and so Mark Antony's like, I demand the floor.
Pompey's trying to give it to him.
Yeah, and they're calling for calm so that Mark Antony can veto the motion, because again, if they don't veto the motion, then now Rome is like committed to basically opposing Caesar, which is what Pompey doesn't want. This is a show of force. Pompey doesn't want to actually use force, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work. I guess they just everyone has to leave because of the fighting, and so now Pompey and Cicero are like, "Fuck, we cannot do this. We cannot actually."
It's the old guy, that old dude who's I guess he'd be the head of the Senate, whatever. He mentions he didn't hear Mark Antony say, "Hey, there's no." I veto it, because people were freaking out and screaming and fighting. That old guy who can barely talk, he's like, oh no. And it's almost like the Senate parliamentarian is what I kind of think of it as. It's in today's day and age, when the Senate tries to do a rule or something like that, or pass something, they have to go through the Senate parliamentarian, who's the subject matter expert, and says, yes, Senate, you can do this, or no, based on the rules, you cannot do this. And so they have to go to this old dude, and they're like, whoa, and the old dude's like, no, it's done. It's done. I didn't hear him say he vetoed anything. No. And then Cicero has to come up with a way.
Yeah.
The session's still technically in.
Yeah. So Cicero tells the old man that the session was never formally adjourned, so that way the next time we meet, it's still legally considered the same session, and Mark Antony will be allowed to veto. And the old man's like, oh yeah. And so Pompey calls him a senile old fool, but he's like, Pompey's fine. Pompey's good with it. So again, Pompey doesn't want to fight Caesar. This was a trick to let Caesar know that Caesar is alone, but Pompey still doesn't want to fight. And so now it's the next day, and they're going to reconvene the Senate. It will be considered the same session as the previous one. Mark Antony will be allowed to enter the Senate, and he will have the floor, and he will veto the motion, and Pompey's plan will be in place. Rome will not be openly opposing Caesar, but Caesar will know that now that the majority of the Senate is against him, and hopefully Caesar will quit. Well, unfortunately, Mark Antony like reassembles the 13th or whatever group he has, which Vernius and Pullo are a part of, and so like Mark Antony surrounds himself with his troops, and they like slowly walk towards the Senate or whatever, and Pompey's like, no one fucking touch Mark Antony. There will be no bloodshed. He is to
no violence.
Let Mark Antony show up, and he will be allowed to veto. No one fucking do anything. No one start any goddamn problems. Well, someone's going to start a goddamn problem. So Mark Antony and Titus Pullo and Vernius are walking towards the Senate. And
real quick, just for context here, because there's that scene before this where they go and they tell Mark Antony what's going on, and Mark Antony's like, at that point Mark Antony doesn't know that Pompey isn't going to try to fucking kill him or something. Like, he has no idea what Pompey's doing. Like, no one knows. And so Mark Antony's like, hey, get the soldiers, get the 13th, they're going to come with me. When they're walking down, they don't have, like, you know, they're not in full military gear or anything like that. There's even a sequence early on after Mark Antony shows now he's the Tribune. He's actually got his red kind of like military sash on, and that was a huge thing. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Because in ancient Rome, soldiers were absolutely not allowed within the city walls of Rome in like their soldier gear. Like, you could not just take your legion into Rome, because that's like, okay, it's overthrow time. You know, there's no like defenses. All the legions and stuff were outside the city walls, and so that's a big thing. So when the 13th, Titus Pullo and Vernius and all those dudes are like escorting Mark Antony to the Senate, they can have like a dagger or something, but they're not soldiers where, you know, it's a whole thing. But Mark Antony knew he could potentially be assassinated. That's why he got all of his soldiers with him to escort him up there. And boy, Steve, how does Titus Pullo bring down the Roman Republic?
So you know, Mark Antony and his men are walking towards the Senate, Titus Pullo looks off to the side, and he sees one of the people from like the bar fight from a couple of days ago, and it's one of the Pompey aligned soldiers, and it's Titus Pullo immediately recognizes that, oh shit, this guy's going to try to kill me. I need to be ready. And so this Pompey soldier attacks Titus Pullo, and Titus Pullo immediately just kills him, just slashes his throat. Now, no one else has any idea what happened. Everyone else assumes this was an attempt to assassinate Mark Antony. It absolutely wasn't, but no one knows that. But when this happens, all hell breaks loose, and it's, you know, the Mark Antony's men versus Pompey's men, and Pompey is yelling, no blood, you know, we can't let this happen.
No blood, bloodshed.
But Mark Antony has to flee because he thinks that he is now, like, there's been an assassination attempt on him, and so he flees, which means he cannot veto the motion, which means now Rome has officially declared Caesar an enemy of the state, and apparently there is a no backsies rule in Rome because this is legally binding, and so it's announced to the public. You know, Caesar is an enemy of Rome.
All good citizens, if they see him, must try to hurt him.
Yeah, if you see Caesar and you are able to cause him harm or kill him, you are meant to cause him harm and kill him. But Mark Antony goes back to Caesar, still has no idea that this was actually Pullo's fuck up. Mark Antony believes that this was an attempt to assassinate him, and Caesar's even like, it's fucking stupid. I never believed Pompey would do this. Like, he thinks Caesar believes that Pompey is just being a fucking idiot. He has no idea that this is a Pullo fuck up. But Caesar makes Mark Antony continue to just walk around in like his bloody robe with his face all disheveled, because he wants to make Mark Antony an example and be like, look at what the Romans have tried to do to our tribune. But Caesar gets on his horse and he makes a big speech, and he's like, Titus Pullo, come forward. And Titus Pullo is like, shit, like I don't know what's going to happen here, but he walks forward, and Caesar says,
the look on his face is great when Caesar first says, Titus Pullo, come forward. He's just like,
he has to call for him a couple of times before Titus Pullo shows up. And so Caesar's like, when the man tried to attack Mark Antony, Titus Pullo was the first one there to fend off the attack, and Caesar throws him a bag of gold, and it was like Caesar says,
500 gold.
Yeah, 500 denarii, and Caesar says that legally I should go turn myself in, but I believe that Rome has become a wretched hive of villainy and scum. I don't want to do that. I want to march on Rome and fight for Rome, because now I believe that Pompey is corrupt now.
He's that politician, like the politicians throughout history that take one thing and then they twist it to get everybody to think, oh, see, I'm the victim here. I'm the true victim here, even though I orchestrated essentially this whole fucking plot.
Yeah, this is exactly what Caesar wanted. He didn't realize that this was going to be the road that got him here. But, he's taking advantage of a bad situation.
Yeah, Caesar didn't actually do any of this. Caesar was not, Pompey made the first move, and now Pompey had nothing to do with this. Like, Caesar's taking advantage, but he did not mastermind this. He's just using it to his benefit. Anyways, he basically he gives he rallies his troops. He gets them to agree to march on Rome. He tells Titus Pullo, he gives Titus Pullo a bag of gold, and he says, Titus Pullo, will you march with me? And Ray Stevenson gives kind of like yeah, sure. I mean, yes, sir, certainly. It's like once it clicks that he's not in trouble, he's all in on supporting Caesar. And so Caesar rallies the troops. We get the scene of him crossing the Rubicon. Vernius got stabbed back when Mark Antony was during the assassination attempt. And so he wakes up and he sees that they're crossing the river. He recognizes that, oh shit, I'm back with Caesar's legions, and Caesar is now marching on Rome, and he is distraught. He does not think this is honorable. He does not think this is right. He wants no part of it, but now he has no choice. And so I believe that's kind of where we end things. Caesar is getting ready to attack Rome. Did I miss anything?
One thing is what do we find out about Verenius' wife?
Oh, what do we find out about her?
Okay, so you see that moment where she's actually the one nursing the baby. And it was actually his daughter that had the kid. So, at least it appears. I'll say it appears that Verenius' wife may have given birth to that baby and not his daughter.
No,
okay. She's nursing the child.
I mean, okay, sure.
Twist. So, Ronan, your thoughts on episode 2?
This is better. Yeah, it doesn't introduce the huge plethora of characters. That most of them were introduced in the, but this one keeps it smaller, and when they are, it's easier to keep track of this episode as opposed to episode 1. It's more concise. You understand what's going on, and you can see, because this is a simple fuck up. Yes, it's pretty simple to follow this fuck up. So I like this episode. It's like I like the first one, but this one was easier to keep track of.
Okay, Steve, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm all in on this series. I was hooked from the first episode. I continue to be hooked after episode 2. I like this a lot.
So I think Titus Pullo is pretty much everybody universally. People who like this show is their favorite character. But aside from Pullo, setting him aside, of all of the characters that you guys have been introduced to so far, which would be kind of like your next favorite character that you're most interested to see the story going forward?
I actually liked Octavian. I liked his political plot dump in episode 1. I hope that he continues to do more and present himself as this super politically savvy character going forward. I don't think he actually does a ton in this episode outside of have dinner with Pullo and Vernius, but I want to see more of him.
And Ronan, you have nobody?
No. That's like, unfortunately, yeah. If Titus was not in this show at this current, or was played by a different actor who totally didn't get the performance he was supposed to be giving, hard change in tone. But yeah, Yeah, right now it's just I like him and Verenius's. It's like they're back and forth, but at the same time, if it was just Verenius, it's like no, this like all these characters suck. Nobody's likable. I don't like this show.
That is true. There's not a whole lot of likable characters, but then it is ancient Rome. Were there many likable characters in ancient Rome? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, again, like it's not the show is not Spartacus. We need to state that for the record. It is not Spartacus. Comparing the two shows is not fair. But Spartacus, like you can root for the villains. It's like we all love Asher. He is a great character. Horrible villain. You never want to hang out with this guy, but you're intrigued and entranced every time you watch him perform.
You might say we would love to watch an entire show about him.
Yes, an entire alternate universe, one could say. But we like Badiatus. We liked most of the villains, and we like most of the characters. But even the bad guy characters, because they were just. You can do that. You can do intrigue where you're following along and you like everybody. So far, that would be the biggest nail in the show is that there's exactly one, interesting character. And
so do you feel like you're getting, because there's 24 episodes of Rome over 2 seasons? Do you feel, Ronan, like you're going to get to a point where you're like, I don't really want to watch this because it's just not that interesting to me anymore?
Right now, no. We'll see, but right now, no. I'm not like I'm not like Steve was like, oh yeah, I'm all in, totally. I'm like, yeah, but I'm being entertained so far.
Okay. This is a cool episode. I liked it quite a bit. I think if I had one complaint with the first 2 episodes is it feels like it moves so quickly that it doesn't give a lot of context to stuff. Like at the end of episode 2, we're already crossing the Rubicon, and I understand we gotta move. There's a lot of story and plot that we gotta get to, but it just felt a little rushed to me. Some of the stuff, but overall, yeah, I still like it. I think it's cool. But next week or in 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, we will talk about episode 3, An Owl in a Thorn Bush. So. That does not sound like it spoils what the episode is about, unlike this one, so that's good.
Guys.
Any final thoughts from you, Steve?
My final thought is it's the end of the recording session, so we got to go all in blind. I have very little money, so this doesn't benefit me whatsoever, but I'm going to do it. Are we going? I feel like Matt just looked at his hand, so do we got to wait for the next one?
We do.
God damn it!
Damn it!
I'm just gonna. I
have to go all in on this hand.
All right, I'm gonna go all in too because I want to. I want to buy back in with more money. No, Matt or Ronan, you can do whatever you want. We're doing another hand after this where we have to go all in.
Okay,
I'm hoping to lose this hand so I can buy back in and hopefully win more money.
Yeah, I have to go all in on this. I'll just go ahead and spoil.
I'm going to 7-2 off suit.
Well, actually, it's 7-2 same suit.
Oh, that's not as good.
Not as good.
Close enough. It's fine.
I feel like I have to do it.
What do I even have? Did I even? What do I have? Crap.
There's a lot of people in on this.
Yeah. Jesus, I have garbage. Although he's got better than me.
Oh, there goes one of my teeth.
All right, so I need a heart flush. I think that's not it.
Well, there's a 2.
That doesn't help.
There's a 2.
That doesn't help. I got 3 of a kind.
Fuck.
Did I make some money there?
Splitting pots.
Yeah! All right, I'm ready to go all in next hand. All right, all in blind this hand.
Okay, let me buy back in.
God damn it! That means we have to wait. Yeah, now we have to wait.
I mean, we're perfectly fine when we're going to have to wait for Steve, but now we have to wait for you.
Yeah, it was fine when I was the delay. It's unacceptable that you're doing this.
You piece of shit. You make me sick.
Just going to fold. All right, well, hurry up, Matt. Come on. Let's get this hand over with, people. So, anyways, Rome.
I mean, I got no control over how fast this hand goes.
Rome is awesome.
Out of you.
Titus Pullo is awesome. I am very into. Ronan says he doesn't really have any characters he's latching onto. I am very into Caesar and Pompey trying to like out 4D chess each other. I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep the conversation going while we're waiting.
So I can dig that, but I like the character of Caesar. I mean, we have seen Caesar done correctly again in Spartacus, and this is just some crusty old white dude. Like the intrigue is not there.
Ronan doesn't know what he's talking about. Like anytime today, people at this table, let's get a move on. just fucking fold, fucking fold.
I'm
should have just had.
What should I have for
Thank
lunch?
You. All right.
Popeye's chicken.
All right. All in blind. It's been a long time since we've done this because someone couldn't find their fucking Blu-rays.
Now some of the tables gone.
Hey, this just is more watch time hours for our channel.
No one watches this. No one watches this.
Okay, so raise.
All right, all in.
There we go.
All right. Have no clue what this hand is.
Oh, come on, dude. You're in. You're wearing Matt's suit. You want in on this?
Do it.
Oh, wuss.
Throw it away. Mm-hmm.
So the guy with the blue dreadlocks and oh no, he's out. So it's just three of us.
Just us. Boo. Boo. All right.
Here we go.
6 queen.
6 queen.
9. Oh, I don't like that.
King,
Oh,
4
I need. Geez, I need sixes. Sixes are the only thing that can help me. No. Queen.
Queen. Okay, you and I are looking good, Steve.
Yeah.
Come on.
I need a king. Give me a king.
No kings. Boo! 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 Boo this man! Boo! I'm editing this out of the episode. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching another exciting episode of Jupiter's CROCK. We'll be back in 2 weeks with episode 3 of Rome. Fuck Matt. Good night.